is here! The champ is here! The champ is here! The champ is here!
Welcome back, everybody, to Belt Kings Radio presents Champions. And today, it's a special day. Today is a momentous day. Yeah, I've been using that same word like all my life because I liked it when I was a little kid of this movie I saw called The In Crowd, so I'm still using it. But it is, nevertheless, a momentous day because not only, as always, I'm joined by Nephew Corey. My kicks are my fix. What's going on, Nephew Corey?
What's going on, man? What's going on?
I'm excited. We know what was last night, and so we're going to talk about that maybe some part, but today is a special day, like I said. Sure. It's a momentous day, like I said. And that's because, Corey, you had an idea. You had a wonderful idea of what we was going to do. And I like that because here at Belt Kings Radio, we try to just let you guys know this is not your typical review show. This isn't about the product. This is about celebrating the title belts that we love and celebrating the people who wear those title belts that we love. Hence, champions. Hence, Belt Kings. I'm a Belt King. He's a Belt King. You're a Belt King. But you got to have 5 belts to be considered a Belt King in my book. All right. But anyway, today's title, Corey, as I said, is a momentous day because we're going to switch it up a little bit, right? Yeah. And you had this wonderful idea. So why don't you go ahead and tell the listeners out there and people watching also what this great idea was that I think is so awesome.
Well, I wanted to make sure that we, like you just mentioned, we're not necessarily just a review show. Here's a belt. Here's what it is. Here's a review of it. No, we want sometimes, it may be certain championships or it may be something that we'd already talked about or maybe some kind of a different belt, but we were going to start to delve into specific superstars and their different title runs and talk about their different matches. And today, as the first one, which I think is pretty good for a first one.
Absolutely.
We're going to talk about the limited edition. We're going to mention the limited edition Undertaker Legacy belt that was released last year. And we're going to actually talk about some of his, best title matches that went on with his title feuds in his career. So I think we got a good show lined up today.
I love it. And as I look at this belt, and I know you're going to say, man, this dude Mike, every time somebody he loves someone he sees it. Well, because sometimes you have to see things to love it, right? You just can't just, So we're talking about this, as you said, the Undertaker limited edition legacy title. And I'm on record to continue to always say, never been the biggest Taker guy. But because of my love for pro wrestling, I respect and love the Undertaker. Follow that if you can, all right? And other people are saying, well, we had a vote. You voted. We voted for the Rock's belt. Well, guess what? I want to see what you guys were going to do. And you participated, but you didn't participate enough. And that's at Belt Kings on Instagram, all right? So follow us and get these questions. Comment below. Let us know, and then we can give you the belt you want. But since you didn't give us the vote count, we had like 26, 27, total votes on that. I want more than that. All right, I got more listeners than that, so we want more votes than that. So we're gonna go with the Taker belt because that's the first belt that when Corey came up with this beautiful bean footage of an idea, he mentioned this said title. So this belt, let me ask you a question: do you, or do you know anyone who has this belt?
I know a couple of people that do have it. And it wasn't for me. Here's the thing: for me, I was never really, like you mentioned, I was never a big Taker guy. I wasn't. So. The belt, the common sense side of me outweighed the collector side of me in the sense that I was like, do I really need it? And I'm not gonna be one to take away from somebody who potentially is a fan and then it sells out.
Right.
And I'm with the belt.
Right.
That I don't really want, not because I don't like it, because I wasn't a fan. So there's no point in me really However, I've seen it in person. It's a nice belt.
Okay.
It's a very nice belt, actually. For the detailing and everything they put in it, they did an excellent job. I was looking at the specs on that earlier and back to it. Let me actually go back to it. I was looking at the specs.
And by the way, this belt is not available right now.
No.
WWE Shop. So
this one's gone.
This is a belt. If you want it, would be an expensive replica. All right.
Well, actually, to be honest, I'll even go a step further. This is a belt I wouldn't get a custom for. You have to get I wouldn't try to get this one made.
Okay.
It's too detailed. It's too many intricacies that they put into this belt to where I wouldn't get this as something that, I mean, it's your money, you can do what you want, but I wouldn't get Man, I would just.
But we're also in the title business, like the hurt business. You get that, right? The title business to tell you what we think is also a good buy versus a bad buy bad buy. And we always give props to the custom belt makers out there. But listen to Belt Emperor here, because this one, like you said, Corey, it is very the idiosyncrasies of this title and of the design of this belt. It's a lot here. And even something for me, again, not being a taker guy, but if I got this, my selling point for this is the casket that it comes in.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that's a big deal. And again, not a taker. Once I, get that dream house I want and my man cave is really the cave that it's supposed to be for a man of my stature, this has to be in my collection, Corey, just because of being a wrestling mark that I am. Okay. And the casket. Again, I just think it's certain things you have in your house, it's pop culture. Undertaker is pop culture.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. He, like I said, for me personally, I think something else that kind of weighed into my decision in not getting it. Okay. I wouldn't be willing to pay for it, but $750 for that, for me, not a taker guy. Granted, the price, let me say this. The price absolutely warrants what you're getting with that championship.
Okay, and you're basing that off of what you've seen in person.
Yeah, absolutely.
The friends that have it, that spoke to you about it. So this is where the part of the show, guys,
it's absolutely listen.
Okay, because I have not seen this belt in person. Okay, I've only seen it via pictures or video, I guess you so to speak. That even though how clear my TV is, it ain't in person, right? And like you said, that's $750 price range for me. As a non-taker guy, I'll be with you. As a Shawn Michaels guy, I'm gonna scratch my head for that. Okay.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. And as a Shawn Michaels guy, if it was something like that for Shawn at $750, I would have paid for it.
And a broken heart.
It's something. I would have paid for it. I would have, because even when
that's your guy
first dropped, when his first dropped, I paid $5 for it.
Yeah, you did.
So at that point, I mean, not counting coins or anything, but
how many was sold at that time?
5.
Okay.
5.
How many?
5.
I remember being at work. And I was on what they call the golf courts. And I'm calling you. And you was like, I'm in line right now. I got my number. I'm like, Corey, I can't stand you right now. I remember that so well that day when you bought that title.
That's but at that point, if you're paying $5, you pay $750.
Yeah.
You are. But like I said, if somebody, I'll put it this way.
But you were also, and I'm sorry to blind tag you there, you were prepared for that price range.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? You had already, we always talk about doing your due diligence and knowing what you're doing and saving if that's what you got to do to get this title. We don't want nobody going broke for belts. All right? We love them. We love you. Please don't be homeless for a wrestling title. All right?
Yeah.
Earn it the right way. So, but like I said, you knew what it was going to cost. You knew where it was going to be. You had your ear glued to the streets about that. So, put that in perspective when you say $750. Some will, some won't. But if you do, because you were prepared for it, Corey. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. No, you hit it right on the head. Absolutely. And honestly, seeing that belt, as far as, like I said, once again, we will stress this over and over again in this show. We're both not taker guys. But seeing that belt in person, if you got it at retail for $750, you got a steal.
Okay.
Because that belt is every bit worth of whatever people are reselling it for in the thousands, because I know it goes at least probably for about maybe $1,200 probably.
I think I've seen one in so many belt groups on Facebook. I can't even name it, no disrespect. But I think I saw one for like $1,200.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So, and it was in one of them auctions. So that means it probably even went higher than that $1,200 more likely.
And it goes in that, and it warrants that. Every detail that's in this belt, it's worth it. To one of the little side plates, that's the urn with the different names. I'm sure if you're looking it up, you probably see that with all his monikers that he had.
And they only made 500 of these belts. I just saw that on on the outside metal plate. It has the number of the number.
On the inside of the belt tip, it has whatever number it is.
Yeah, I was just looking at that.
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, for $750, that's. Yeah, and with the velvet on it.
I'm saying, what is that velvet? I was just about to say that from you.
And the detailing and it's pretty much from when I saw it, it's pretty much the same leather. It's premium. It's not what you would get on the actual like a TV championship, but It is up there with the leather as far as maybe one of their Elite Series belts or something like that. I'll put it in the detail and the etching on it and the it's worth it. I'm just not a Taker guy.
Just not. So talk about right, and you spoke on it. I'm looking at this belt right now. And shout out to my man Grand Body P over in the UK doing this thing. And listen, this guy has been doing this thing over in the UK for a while now. He is a Taker guy. Okay. Shout out to King Vaughn Jr. 720 on the Twitter. Vaughn's a Taker guy. These are guys, my man Frank Nitty, Franco over there on Facebook as well. Undertaker guys here. I'm looking at this title for guys like them. It has 11/22/90 when he debuted on the title.
Yep.
It has the infamous Undertaker crucifix that's dead center in the center of this plate. It says the Phenom on it. And then it says taking souls on one side, digging holes on the other side.
Yep.
This is, as a belt collector, again, not it's in the backdrop for me personally to buy, right? But we talk about all the time, Corey, belts going on sale, catching a steal. This may not even happen no time soon. Just telling you guys, if this is somewhere, if you're a collector of titles for how they actually are crafted and how they look, and shout out to your uncle, okay, Dr. D, okay, hashtag end of story. The picture he put up showing, and we talk about on this all the time, my belt from 20 years ago to a new one. They are so better designed and crafted today than they were when we first started collecting these belts. We're OGs in this thing on title collection. I'm looking at this belt, and again, it's something that I want, but as a collector, this is a pretty dope-ass title, Corey. And not to mention, whether you've been a Taker guy or not, you still, as a wrestling fan, love Taker. So for him, and if you're a Taker guy, you get this belt, Corey.
Yeah, it's interesting. It all comes down to your perspective on if you actually want. I know at that time I was like, you know what, I knew it was going to go. And here's the thing. So, and this was when we were offline. We were talking right before the show started. I said I'll save it for the show. So this belt sold. It was gone. It's like clearly, but it sold relatively moderate to what you thought that would have gone. Even at $750, you thought, okay, first day that was gone.
Okay.
It stuck around for about a week or two. It was
hold on. A week or two.
I mean, compared to what, for it to only be 500 and compared to,
when it first came out, it dropped for 5?
No. It was only 500 of them.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it was $750 from Rip, and it never hit sale because it was gone. But that relative to what, other limited title belts are, it stuck around for a little bit, especially for the impact of how many people, like you've mentioned, how many people love Taker. It's like, you thought that belt would have been.
If they sold this belt at Orlando WrestleMania, it would have sold out that day.
Well, that's one. Yeah, that's one. That's one. If it had sold then, it absolutely. But here's the two. I think, how do I want to put this?
Delicately.
As much as like I just mentioned earlier, if you're spending $500, you'll spend $750. I think that also made the difference in how quickly it sold. If that belt had been $500, it would have gone.
It would have been gone day one.
Yeah, it would have been gone. $750. Granted, if you're going to spend it, like you said, you're being prepared to spend it.
Yeah,
you should think a little bit. You're like, okay, you're not quick click.
Quick.
You're like, okay, but nonetheless, yeah, it did sell very well, obviously, and it's gone, and the resale value up there. But I mean,
hasn't been back.
No, and it won't be. You won't again.
Will this be a belt? Let's say Mania does happen. Will this be at the Superstore? Will this be a title they bring back? Okay, so this is a question I'm going to ask, and it had been asked of me, and I, in fairness, and I honestly couldn't answer the question. So I bring it to you now. Are they shooting themselves in the foot with only the limited edition? And my answer to that question was no, because it's limited.
Yeah,
right? That's what makes things Thank you. That's the point. But what was asked though is for a company that always wants to go for the dollar, why not in this department?
Because the value of it, nothing will ever be safe. Like, I'll put it this way: in the short term, and this is how I want to answer this exactly. In the short term, you're thinking more and more and more you're going to make it. But in the long, like, the more and more you make, the more you'll have available to sell. And people, yes. But in the long run, when you start releasing things as limited edition, people that went and bought it initially at first, they're going to start going, no, it'll be there. I'll wait. And then it starts to trickle to where those, first day, hundreds and hundreds of sales, and it's gone because people get hip and they're like, no, it's not limited. It's going to be back. I mean, same thing happens, with we always go back to this. It happens with sneakers in a sense. Yeah. People will, a limited sneaker will drop, but if they re-drop it again, people are going to kind of be like, okay. I mean, people are going to buy them.
Yeah. And those who didn't get it the first time will have their.
They're just going to wait. Yeah.
Now, exclusivity came to mind for me.
Yeah.
Exclusivity, and so just go ahead. That's when I had to get that word out.
But that's the point. That's what exclusivity is. Exactly what you always want a talking point with the company to be like, dag, I remember when they dropped those Taker belts, limited. I couldn't get that one. Next time they drop a limited something, I better get it because it's not going to be there. Case in point, in which, thank goodness. I mean, you talk about just lucky stars. It just kept going and going and going, and then I finally just not bit the bullet, but I was like, let me stop playing around and get it. The New Day belt. Okay. In which we'll talk about that another time as well. It's similar to what this show. But the New Day tag title, when it first dropped in Orlando,
it was Orlando.
They only had 15. They were gone.
Yeah, gone.
And, I asked, they were like, they're going to hit shop in about 6 weeks. And they did. And I kept waiting, and I waited, and I was like, okay. And the thing is, there were only 483 of those. Okay. Even then, that even hit those didn't sell. I mean, granted, New Day is not the Undertaker. So,
no, right. Let's put that in perspective, people. We're not saying that.
Yeah. So, and this one didn't sell. This one even hit the sales.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this one was out there. This was a belt, kind of like Daniel Bryan's belt. So we're talking about exclusivities and special titles that I was like,
Daniel Bryan's
it'd be there. I want it because of the eco-friendly. We'll talk about that belt later. That's definitely a belt that I want.
That one I am going to get. I am waiting.
The New Day belt I kind of was kind of pause on for myself.
Okay, fair enough.
I know Mo_Eaton got it on Twitter, Instagram. He got that title day one. He was one of the first 15 to get it. I remember him being excited about getting that belt in Orlando. So,
I mean, that belt is one where you pretty much are like, okay, I get that belt. That was one of the ones I said for the collection. And I actually do like New Day, but I was like, ooh, for the collection, let me go ahead and get this. And the reason why was because to get that one autographed is a lot now than
later
while all three of them are still active. Like so that one I snagged. That one I
see, where was this show at then? If I know then what I know now, I might have a New Day belt.
Yeah, because that one's one, to be honest. And then I regret, and I was so mad because I regretted when that belt was it disappeared all shop, and I said, oh no, I've missed my chance. And that, now, much to what you asked earlier, this belt was showing up only at the superstores at the big events. Yeah. So if they were doing an access or a meet and greet type thing, if they had a little pop-up superstore, that belt was there.
And we're talking about, for those who may not,
that like pretty much the superstore is either you're going to see those belts that disappeared if they come up there. The Taker one will not be there.
Your wristbands, your wrist watches, your wrist belts rather. I'm sorry, that
the mini belts,
exclusives. Also, the mini
belts are there also. So you pretty much you kind of got to go to these events because, and smart by them, these are the only places you're really going to sell that stuff. You're not going to sell. That's why that stuff, when it sits on the website for a while and then years, it shows up at the superstores, excuse me, and they sell it because it just looks limited edition.
Yeah, and they're beautiful. When you go to a superstore, for those who haven't been, and shout out to the mini belt kings. All right, the mini belt guys out there, y'all got them. I got respect for y'all. I got a couple of friends out there that got like 30 of them joints. I'm like, dang.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The mini belts just blew up.
Actually, what's funny, those are in demand just almost as much as because they don't make that many. The mini belts are limited. They don't.
I am actually about to become a fan of that because it's actually more affordable for those who, you know what I'm saying? They're like $60, $70 for them. You know what I mean? And I remember when I first got my big Goldie, mini belt back in the day, I was just trying to be Ghostface Killer. I'm like, I got a Wonder Woman on my arm. That's all I kept calling it. It was like, I didn't even realize how, back then, how that was to have. But let's get back to the beautiful being footage that is this Taker title and the guy that wore him, right? Yeah. The Undertaker, Mean Mark Callis is what I remember him as. And when I was a fan of the Heart Punch. Y'all know my story about how I thought that move actually worked. You put the arm back here, boom, bend the chest, boom. I love that move, the Heart Punch. But he then became from the skyscrapers, and all of a sudden he blew up and at Survivor Series. And there was this guy, the Undertaker, and has gone on to be considered from the guys in the back, the guys we all look up to and love, as the leader of the locker room. He's so highly respected in the locker room that I don't think I've honestly can ever think, and I'm thinking as I'm saying this, ever heard a bad thing about Taker being said backstage for anybody. I just can't recall any of that, right? He's the ultimate professional. And you look at Undertaker, again, not being the biggest fan, but respect goes to this guy for his longevity. Absolutely. And I seen a meme that said, which part of HBK's career was better, the first half or the second half? And as one HBK guy, I probably would think the second half, as much as I love the first half, because as a fan, I thought I would never see him wrestle again. So when he came back and he lasted for as long as he did, for me, it's like, wow, it won't have the impact on my youth as HBK did, but seeing him in matches later on, I would go second half. And I brought that up to say same thing with Taker here, where you had this early part of his career where he was the Undertaker into the when he went to the Ministry of Darkness Undertaker to being from the American Badass to coming back as Taker. I think that coming back as Taker after the American Badass with the matches with Shawn Michaels and those kind of things, I think it was the best of his career, Corey. And I just look at those matches, and again, the back half of Taker's career, including the Boneyard match. People say what you want to say about it. I loved it. Okay, and I'm waiting to see another one. Now, he says he's retired, but is he? In ring, maybe, but WWE Cinematic Universe, you never know. Okay, as my man in the woods said, suck, never chew, tic tacs, fuck a lot of power. But you're I know where it comes from, right? Your thoughts of the Undertaker, man.
So I kind of agree with you. Actually, that back half of his career it's interesting because the front half pretty much defined who he was. Back half was kind of cementing that. As in,
nice word.
We know he's built up to become this guy. And to be honest, to me, the whole biker gimmick in the middle is like, it was so needed because
he needed a break.
You had to give that character a rest. And to me, I'll say this now, Taker is the greatest gimmick in the history of wrestling.
Absolutely.
He's the greatest gimmick in the history of wrestling.
Absolutely, Corey.
Greatest character. Like, there will never the
closest second got to be Sting, maybe.
Maybe, but I'll put it this way: there's an argument for second and second place and below.
Okay,
no doubt about it. First place, he's the greatest character in the history. Yeah. Like, so with that, but even with that being said, that character needed a break, and because it had run its course. Everything you could do with that character, you did. And so with that whole biker human gimmick that you could say with him was so needed because the matches he was putting on then were good in the
American Badass matches. To me, besides, I'm sorry to cut you off. Besides that back half we talked about, where he submitted his career, that middle portion, the break from Taker, to me had the best matches of his career outside of the later half.
Yep. With him, the feuds with him and Lesnar. Feud
him
with
and Cena.
Yep. Cena, Angle, Lesnar, just all of that. Even with the finality when he was feuding with Vince, when it sent him away before he came back as Taker,
and not let's not forget the infamous Jeff Hardy match.
Yep,
that probably honestly was the biggest Jeff Hardy push you could probably you can give was that match with Taker.
Absolutely, yeah. And then Taker and RVD hardcore match. Taker was the hardcore champion. You know what I'm saying?
That's why the man can barely walk now. I mean, baller room brawls.
Yep.
Casket matches.
Yeah, he's
Hell in the Cells.
He's done everything.
Cage matches, street fights, Inferno matches. Inferno matches. The man jumped over fire, Corey.
Yeah.
The man jumped over fire.
Sure did. He sure did.
Taker. What can be said? What's some of your favorite matches from him?
Yeah, well, that's where I was getting ready to go. That's where I was getting ready to go. One is not necessarily a favorite, but I was absolutely a defining match.
Doesn't count if you're there, Corey. No, I'm just joking.
No, see, one of the defining matches early on that I remember, even though it ended up kind of meaning nothing, but it meant something, was him winning his first world championship when he defeated Hogan at Detroit.
Yeah.
The significance of that Taker, what's funny, and
nice
one phantom loss that he has from a house show, I think to Tito Santana or something like that. But basically, he was undefeated when he won the world championship.
Okay.
B-wise, that was a big, and he came on the scene. And that was one of the first times, in hindsight's 2020, where you look back at it and you're like, dang, he was a big deal for him to come in. Yeah. But even then, you could see how strongly he was being booked.
How long was that, do you think? And I'm not saying that because I want to throw that Goldberg, undefeated streak. Do you think it rivaled that without us even knowing?
No. And the reason why I'll say no is because with Goldberg's streak, they started throwing in quality opponents. Hogan was really one of Taker's first quality opponents.
And you know what? I'm so glad one of my biggest knocks of not being a Taker guy, right, is that I personally, don't crucify me, please, people don't get mad at me. I didn't think the streak was as impressive as people think it is. The streak's great for wrestling. I love it because it's WrestleMania. But he wrestled a lot of the same people. And early in them careers, he fought a lot of guys.
I'll put it this way. I won't go that far as what you said, but I will kind of support it in that the streak wasn't a thing until Flair, when he acknowledged it.
Right, until it became a thing.
First time he acknowledged it.
Until it became a thing, right.
Yeah. At WrestleMania 18, that's the first time he acknowledged, or him and the announcers really, that they ever acknowledged on television that there's a streak. And put importance to it. Okay. Because difference. They always kind of mentioned, in the earlier match, he's undefeated at WrestleMania, or he's never lost at WrestleMania. But when Taker does the whole 10 thing in the camera, they're like, the Undertaker's 10-0 at WrestleMania. Yeah. When they first mention the streak. Yeah. That's when you're like, that's when the light bulb went.
I guess then you can count it, right? From that point on.
But from then, that's when the light bulb kind of went off for them and was like, okay, we literally have an attraction right here in our hands and we don't have to do anything. There's zero booking going involved into the streak except guy beat the streak. Yeah. That's all you have to do with it. It's the simplest yet most effective storyline. One of the most effective they had in a long time because it made it a big deal for whoever was fighting him, and you didn't have to do anything with it. You had Orton. You had
Was it supposed to end the way it ended?
You know, I
That's
firmly
the ultimate. We don't know. Where do you
I firmly
stand?
believe that Orton is one that if they were to end it,
Should have been it. Legend Killer. I always thought that too. That was the one that it should have been the Legend Killer that did it. But I'm asking the infamous question: New Orleans, you're there. WrestleMania 30. Was it supposed to happen in your opinion?
well, that's the biggest what.
That's the biggest what if.
I'll put it this way: the reason why I think it was supposed to happen,
Okay,
is because I think in human nature, even in a business setting, I think anything goes down that calmly. I don't care how big Brock Lesnar is or anything like that. If there was a legit screw job with that, as
him being knocked out, a referee making mistakes, stuff like that.
I just don't think it
somebody
goes
got
that calm.
somebody gets grabbed in that moment, and I echo those same sentiments because I've always said if you look at that match, somebody had to end it, right? Because Taker was trying to. People don't want to admit this. Was trying to get out at that point.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Lesnar
is the only guy that can take it on to take the heat, enough of the heat that it doesn't affect them because it's Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
That's why anybody else would have beat him. It'd have been hellfire and brimstone.
Yeah. Like I said, there are certain particular points.
Michaels could have did it.
But Shawn could,
which made it believable, right? To make it,
Shawn, Kane, Orton are the only three people I can think of other than Lesnar.
Well, my story booking was Kane because Kane beats him being the brother. Everybody comes and helps him bury him alive, and instead of him going to hell, he finally goes to heaven. That's my fantasy booking for Taker. You know what I mean?
It's interesting because at the point, like you mentioned, by the time WrestleMania 30 comes around, and Lesnar is the opponent, I think there's a situation this is just me. That's when you pull the trigger, because if you're gonna do I'll put it this way: if Lesnar doesn't beat him, he should never be beat. There's nobody left. There's literally nobody left. Like either the streak ends with Brock Lesnar at that where it did, or it never ends.
See, for me, my favorite is WrestleMania 28. Okay. And the end of an era match, because I thought that should have been honestly an end of an era, and then 30 doesn't even happen. You know what I mean? But again, fans being fans, that's why one of my most, as a fan, chants I hate more than anything in the world is one more match, or you still got it. Because sometimes, guess what? They're athletes. They're crazy, okay? And as soon as you get, and they're egotistical. So you start feeding the ego thinks they can do something. So I'm so grateful that I hope Shawn Michaels never comes out of retirement. Okay?
I'll put it this way, and people ask me that all the time with Michaels. They're like, if
I don't get Michaels and AJ, I don't want it.
The pure fan side in me, only mad that he came out of retirement because I couldn't be there.
Which part? The Saudi Arabia thing?
Saudi.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the only, because I couldn't be there. That's the only reason why I was upset. I personally never wanted him to come out of retirement because I went to the last match. I went to the Hall of Fame. I was like, you know what? I'm number one guy. I saw all of that. It's it. Done. But if he was to come out, and I always said that, I said, if he was to ever come out, I'm on a plane ticket, there, ride, whatever, I'm there. I'm going to be there. So, I mean, the fan side of me was mad. But if he made 7 or 8 figures, I ain't mad at him at all.
I mean, that's the whole fan to being realistic stuff that pops into question. If you're going to offer me the money, then God darn it, I'm taking it.
You better believe it. I mean,
worst match for me from Taker, and I don't mean to say worst match, right? I would have to go with also being
I bet we say the same thing.
Well, it was him and Roman. I was going to say him and Roman. Because,
I'm not going to say that.
But that's because of knowing what we know. And this is the part where I always tell people, if you saw Around the Box with Mike Knoxxx earlier, I talked about always suspending belief. I hate the whole trying to micro pick wrestling. I just watch it. It's just what it is to me. That's how I enjoy it. So, but you're looking at it now, and you're going, you could see it physically watching Taker not have it, Taker not have it, Taker not have it. And because of that, Roman getting the also blame for it, right? Then Roman trying what Roman's trying to do to get over for it. And Undertaker, and it just did not work well. And I just looked at him and was like, I was just so sad for him in that moment that he could not do what he loved to do. What was yours?
One of the ones that it's two of them. It's two of them. One is Taker and Henry in the casket match at Mania 22. Just wasn't that good to me. That's no knock to any. It just, to me as a fan,
I forgot about that match. You said casket.
It just wasn't that good to me. That one and WrestleMania 19, where he had to go out alone because I guess Nathan Jones wasn't ready and he fought Big Show in A-Train.
Okay.
That one's one of the – those two are like especially for them being Mania matches. It's not even Taker's fault, really. It's just
worst
circumstance.
You think worst Hell in a Cell with him? Which one do you think? Same
one.
Yeah,
him and Boss Man.
Philly.
No, him and Boss Man.
Yeah, Philly. WrestleMania 15.
Him and Boss Man. Yeah.
I looked at. I remember watching the hanging of Big Boss Man going up, and I'm going, that's not very in good taste right here, guys. Like, because we wasn't sure. Like, that's some acting. Did he go to sleep? Did he go to how did he just sit there? Because that looked completely real to me. At that point, but
it just wasn't. It just wasn't that good. I think the stipulation of it being in the cell was.
It definitely it felt forced at that time because
you didn't need to put it in there.
No, Taker's done so much. The 6-pack challenge, the first Hell in a Cell with him and Shawn Michaels.
Here's the thing, Mike. Not even to knock it. Not even to knock it. I just didn't think Boss Man is a guy you put in a finality type of stipulation with that match.
Okay.
That's what it was. I think if it was even Taker or McMahon, that's something you put in the cell.
Okay, just didn't think that Boss Man had that, that storyline. And I'm in the streets at this point, but I remember it being rushed. Also, I feel like they put that together from after Rumble to Mania. It was just one of them storylines that just didn't fit well. You know what I mean? He was with Taker not 2 months before that. You know what I mean? So, But this belt, this guy, this phenom, this leader of the locker room guy that we're paying respect to today. I kind of feel like Drink Champs. I feel like we're paying homage to those we come before us, you know what I mean? And what we love. But it is almost an homage of like Drink Champs. It's paying respect to guys like The Undertaker and this special title, this legacy, limited edition title that was made for him is why we had this show today, because we want to pay respect to the guys that behind our backs, and he has his wherever he has them at, belts that we collect, title belts that we collect. So as always, had a great show. You said a belt earlier that I'm going to try to remember that I think I want to talk about. Okay, a lot about actually, and it could be got some collector belts coming up as well. But definitely want to talk to you about some of the belts that's coming up next. As always, guys, we don't know what belt we're going to talk about next. So when we know, you will know. All right, and follow us on Instagram and at Twitter at Belt Kings, just like it sounds. And you got belt pictures, send them to us. We like to see all belts. I'm following. If you got a belt, I'm following you. Okay, we're following you because we just love title belts. Okay, and again, shout out to Dr. D from the Wrestling Market Excellence, because what he has pulled off, in my opinion, over the last month, he just came out hitting, and I like it. I like when he come out hitting because he has always been one of the people that I look up to in this wrestling business, and he just happens to be your uncle. So with that being said, guys, we're gonna go ahead and get up out of here. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Belt Kings Radio presents Champions. I almost said Drink Champs. We out of here, y'all. Peace.